Hi, Stefan Fischer here from All Off Road. I'm on Mount Sunday in the Victorian High Country. We're starting supposedly one of the hardest treks after one of the worst nights. We just spent the night up here. I also have some issues with the Land Cruiser for the first time really in 5 years. So stay tuned to see what happens. It has been 3 years since I was last in the Victorian High Country, and I must admit I forgot a little how good it is. In this series I discover an issue with my cruiser and nearly pull the plug on the trip. We search for underground waterfalls, we spent a stormy wet night on top of Mount Sunday, we drive one of the supposedly hardest treks in the Victorian High Country and it doesn't end without damage. We drive steep hills and tight switchbacks where every mistake could have fatal consequences. We explore amazing river water holes, and I find out what happens if two eagles attack a $3,500 drone. So strap yourself in for the ride. Mount Sunday, here we come. After a pretty rough night on top of Mount Sunday. Now we're tackling the actual trek. Let's see what happens. We had a bit of rain as well. I don't think or hope not enough to affect it too much. Last night was adventurous. Haven't had a night like this for a while. Yeah, that trek here is super narrow. My GME antenna's copping again shitloads. Honestly, I said that a few times. I'm surprised that there is still work, because the amount of damage they got over the past 4 or 5 years. The actual Mount Sunday trek is very narrow and overgrown. So if you have a white bus, say a Y62 Patrol, be prepared for some serious pinstriping. Mount Sunday, that's a good little trek, I have to say. Nothing crazy technical, but especially here now in the fog, it's tight as, I mean really. Then you have some nice little rock steps, rocky sections. Nice trek. But geez, that can't be driven too often. That is so grown in here. Always good to watch for sticks being caught, and if you notice them, remove them right away. I had one ripping off my brake line in an earlier trip in the high country. That's tire pressure. I didn't anticipate for Wayne to go that far to the right, and he nearly took out my tripod, which was standing behind the tree. Yeah, that looks a bit more interesting here, especially with wet slate. Yeah. Just straight to go. Locker, front locker. Stephen has driven this obstacle before and he just made it look super easy. Next it was my turn. However, I have to admit I should have concentrated a bit more of the line I was planning to drive instead of filming. Because as it shows here quite well, I was around 30 centimeters too far to the left and didn't hit the line I should have taken. I didn't have too many options from here. I couldn't reverse back because of the tree. Also, my left corner was dug into the rocks, so the best option was winching. This also was a good and first opportunity to test my rebuilt worn winch. Next it was Wayne's and Adrian's turn. They had a E-locker in the rear and an open front diff. Given there was a perfectly fine chicken track to the left of this Big Slate Step, Wayne and Rod decided to take this. Wayne and Rod both had E-lockers in the rear. We found out later that Rod's E-locker didn't work at all and Wayne's E-locker had the usual E-locker disengagement issues. In my opinion, a little lower tire pressure really would have helped Rob to drive that a bit more controlled, especially given that his car pretty much was a two-wheel drive unlocked. My automatic mirrors worked, left and right, fold-in mirrors, you know.
Oh, nice.
My antennas touch this low tree here, so that could be touch and go. Turned out I was alright as my antenna was on the far left. Now it was Rod's turn, but he also cleared the low-hanging tree with some room to spare. And thanks a lot to Bruce Pole, the former winch doctor, not anymore. I just had my worn winch serviced after the last desert trip because it started playing up and it certainly needed that service because the motor was nearly burnt out, rust everywhere. So that was my first test of the refurbished worn, because it actually not even refurbished. It has a new motor in, a better motor. That motor I had in before worn didn't run that for that long apparently. So I've got a newer motor in and she works beautifully. Thanks, Bruce. Here as well. I don't know whether with the Y62 you just probably would get through there. Look at that bonnet. Steven slightly dented his rear tray here when hitting that tree. Oh.
So stay in that hole.
I knew I couldn't stay out of that rut because it was too slippery, so I decided to drop into the rut and actually stay as close as possible to that tree stump to avoid any panel damage. You're seeing the rock sliders doing a pretty good job keeping me off that tree root. Rod kept a bit further to the right and thought he could actually circumvent these rut altogether, but on that slippery slate that was not going to happen. And that together with the speed unfortunately caused panel damage on his door and also the rear panel. That was panel damage. It is slippery, as you can see.
Oh, it's not too bad. That'll help you out. Just kissed it.
Yeah, I saw that. Oh shit, I didn't see. Saw you hit it, but...
Yeah.
So gentlemen, what do you reckon? Mount Sunday?
Beautiful, lovely trails. Yeah.
It is, huh?
Been
Yeah.
a very pleasant morning.
Walk in the park.
Walk in the park, yeah?
Yes.
Walk in the park. Some nice trails, some
Slide in the park.
slide in the park, yeah.
Would be
Keep
probably-
you on your toes, this one.
Yeah, it does. Trusted bushman. And that is my lunch triple decker. Peter's Gorge has some beautiful tree ferns on the side of the cliff, but it was a bit difficult to capture.
Sure Stefan didn't throw that there.
I took this one here a little bit slow because really it didn't look like much. But again, this moist slate is really very slippery. So I had to reverse back and give it a little bit more momentum. However, I knew that Wayne and Rod would struggle here, so I parked up and got the cameras out. Oi, oi! Hey, stop! Stop! You're right against the tree now. No. I think it's going to be a winch or a tow. Actually, how important is your bar to you?
Oh no, it doesn't matter that much.
Look, come slowly back. But come a bit further and start straighten your tire. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Panel now, but you straighten your tire. Yep. Okay. I would now go right hand down hard. You're gonna kind of drive into that tree, but yeah, that's good. Okay, see whether you can put now left hand down and drive out of it. I shouldn't have got off that throttle. Wait. Slow. Straighten up, straighten up, straighten up. Stop. Or come forward a bit, like you did before, but only a few meters, and then go back, align yourself again. That's it. Look, we had two cars over it now, so that's all now slippery as. If you try the far left, at least you have one side, but without the front locker. But you will need momentum.
Yeah.
Not too far. Nice. Oh, no. Unless you have very good traction control front and rear or a front and rear locker, it's really only two-wheel driving what you do. Without a front locker and his rear ear locker not working, Rod really struggles to get up here. Nice. Came to an interesting bit of the trek where the whole trek is pretty much sunk into the ground by probably a meter or 1.5 meters on one side and a meter on the other side. That is fairly narrow, and again, if you have a wide bus, I think you're gonna have a fair bit of contact there. If you look carefully, you also see the scrape marks where someone in front of me dragged his diff.
You can't see it.
You already
Filled it in with a bit of bog.
bit of bog in, just a paint when you're home and you're done. Little scraping here. Was that on the way down now?
Yeah, in that narrow gorge. Not so much of the ferns.
Stephen, we have sun.
Beautiful sunshine raining down on us.
Which is good. The last obstacle of the day was a steep climb out of the Mount Sunday trek, and fittingly there was an old gearbox at the bottom of this climb. Fortunately by now it had dried up and the slate wasn't wet anymore. So now it's the last hard climb out. See how we go. Gonna put the rear locker in, front I switch off for the time being, and let's see what happens. Okay. Long and steep, and a lot of front locker won't have in as well. A lot of these slate, but luckily it is a bit drier. It's a bit drier. Some interesting lines here, that's for sure. Keep in mind, I still don't know what's the issue with my car, so I really don't want to overdo it and drive it as gentle as I can. But it seems like so far we'll be managing that. A little bit here, a bit more, that double step, but up it now, and don't want to lose that camera in the rear. Hugging again these ferns here and the tree here. I hope I'm alright. Can't see anything, my mirrors are still in. That's a long climb. Camera still there. Oh, that's looking interesting here. Okay. Left-hand lane.
How's it going, Steve?
Actually made these here. Yeah.
Are you on, Stefan?
A little busy at the moment. That is a good drive up. That is fun. Beautiful. I think I'm gonna park up here. Gearbox still on. Nothing broken. Good fun. Good fun. That is for sure. Done. Wayne in his Land Cruiser and Rod in the Nissan Patrol both had Harrow-Eaton E-lockers in the rear and an open front diff. So in the best case scenario they had a 3-wheel drive. However, while Wayne from time to time had the usual E-locker disengagement issues, I made a whole video about that, please check it out. Rod's E-locker looked engaged to him, as the E-locker wiring shows a red light when the switch is activated. However, it does not guarantee that power actually reaches the diff. And in Rod's case, a blown fuse meant the E-locker did not engage at all, so he pretty much was in 2-wheel drive.
Yeah, you Victorians, you don't like to air down, huh?
Sometimes it's just best to start all over again, so Rod reversed quite a bit backwards to have a new go with a different line.
Turn back about there, right? That's it.
I was going to try and get back down on
Oh,
the
right, okay, sorry.
there.
Yep.
I mean, I can try from here, but I'll give it a go. Well, I reckon I'll get there from here, Steve.
Rod chose a similar line to what Stephen and I had driven, and that kept him away from that tree and from further panel damage. Being in 2-wheel drive meant he had to drive these more aggressively, which also provided less control. You see here the rear wheel bouncing and connecting with the rock, which caused the steer rim to bend and the tire to lose air.
Look, I won't say anything because we're not out, oh?
Right. Nearly out.
Oh,
well, that might be easier, though.
yeah.
But you want to get on the bead as well as the roof.
There it goes. Every Nissan needs a hammer.
And fold that lip over a bit further.
Oh, jeez, yeah. Show me your little...
Have a look what Wheaties.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Found one of them.
Yeah.
Not just one.
Oh, yeah.
Two.
Oh, you did both.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
thorough.
At least they still open from the inside,
From
so
the
that's
inside.
good.
Ah, good.
But didn't you try to put that one back together?
No, you just opened
Like
it.
that? Like, I'll move up on the flat so Rod can get up on the flat.
So, we just finished Mount Sunday. The tally is 1 bent rim, lost air, 2 doors damaged and door handles ripped off on the Land Cruiser, door and rear panel damage on the 1 Patrol. Stephen's Chute, the rear tray, has a good dent, and yeah, I'm, as far as I know, damage free.
You okay, Rod?
I did 1 winch, which
sorting out a couple of things that have moved around.
yeah, was very slippery, and now we're exiting the last little bit, but I think that was the hard bit which we just did. Very good track, interesting track, that's for sure. Not ours, fortunately. We did the trek north-south. I think the other way around is technically easier, but in the wet, the two narrow, steep, slippery channels may be quite difficult to get up. So Steve, you said we're going to turn around now, do it the other way?
Absolutely. How many door handles have we got?
Yeah. So it's going to look even then?
Even it up, you think?
Yeah.
That'd be a challenge going the other way, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And at least, Rod, you can say to your wife, that's nothing.
With a bit more fine adjustment, Rod's rim was as good as new and did hold the pressure for the rest of the trip. Sadly, this is the end of part 3 of our Victorian High Country adventure. I hope you enjoyed following us. In part 4, we make our way towards the McAllister River to find some secluded, beautiful swimming holes and campsites. Afterwards, we drive down into the stunning Butcher Country via a very steep link track. This was a little déjà vu event as we had a very difficult recovery on this track 9 years ago. So make sure you follow us on part 4 of our adventure. As always, thanks a lot for joining us on this trip. This is a self-supported channel, so if you're feeling generous, please consider shouting me the equivalent of a cup of coffee or two via Buy Me a Coffee or Patreon. And I will be eternally grateful. Thank you very much. Hope to see you along the tracks.